Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Fish Conspiracy Network. Yes, today we're going to be talking about fish conspiracies. Now, some of these may seem rather harmless. Things like common knowledge in the aquarium hobby. Things like people saying, oh, don't put Corydoras in tanks with rocks or sand because they'll rub off their whiskers. Well, that's being thoughtful of the fish, and people mean well, but at the end of the day, you may have people worrying that their fish is going to die a terrible death at the hands of a secondary infection on their quarry because of something that's never going to happen. It's actually the water quality and the other things going on in the tank that are responsible for it. So on that end, we have the wives' tales, the kind of harmless things. But in my time being around the hobby, the last 10 years in particular, with the YouTube channel and then being someone who speaks, who goes around the country, who gets to meet leaders of industry, owners of stores, the creators of brands, and the foremost thinkers in the hobby and in the science of freshwater fish keeping, you get told some incredible things. And some of them, like I just said, are not the biggest conspiracy in the world. There's no fish Illuminati. There are people trying to increase their brand, trying to make more money, trying to sell you more of something, more plants, more fish, just make more money. But others, like the number one on my list, are quite troubling. Like some people I've met over the years who own stores that don't even believe in feeding the fish that come into their fish store or treating them with medications. They believe that's someone else's problem. This is just a financial thing, and they're just there to flip the fish to the next home. For almost no situation do they feed fish. And I'm going to reveal my number 1 out of 10 is the fact that there are shops that do not care about you or fish keeping. They are just there to make money. The fish oftentimes look sick. The fish are oftentimes going to spread illness to the fish you have at home. Your entire tank may die, your plants may die, and they are counting on that because they hope that you will come back, ask them for advice, try to get medication, treat with that. That will fail. Then you'll try to treat again or with another kind, and they know that the issue is systemic. None of these issues are going to be fixed with a magical cure, but they will happily sell you those. And then later down the road, when you have to restart your aquarium, they will be there to sell you everything all over again. That is one of the most nefarious I can think of. And if you guys can think of some that are similar, please tell me down below. If you know of a conspiracy or a wives' tale or a common knowledge misnomer in the hobby that you think is harming the hobby or costing aquarists, please let me know down below. Now, I know I've taken a long time discussing just this basic intro, but I promise we're going to go a lot faster from here on. So let's start counting down those top 10 conspiracies that cost you and our fish dearly. Number 9 is one that is probably here because of people trying to be helpful. A small number of people, maybe a few brands, originally put out the message that 1 inch of fish per gallon of water is a great amount because people were putting hundreds of fish in a tank this size. The fish were creating too much waste, and then they were getting sick, they were dying, as well as other illness. So they came up with this idea to try to make an easy to follow rule that people could follow and be all right. Well, over time, with nanofish and the tons and tons of new fish that enter the hobby, it turns out that this rule can end up being harmful in that people may go out and say, I'm going to buy a gourami, or I'm going to buy a cichlid that's going to get 4 inches. So there's 4 of my inches in a 10 gallon. Well, it doesn't work like that. The 1 inch per gallon thing only works for fish that get 1 inch or 2 long, max, because it is the volume of how much waste they produce. It is how they live their life. Are they a schooling fish? How many fellow fish of their species do they need? There's so much more at stake than just this rule to keep you safe and in the clear. So this is one of those things that gives people kind of a false safety feeling, but at the end of the day, it's not too harmful. So we're talking about it at number 10 or 9 if you want to count the one we already talked about. So number 8 on our list is going to be the fact that red plants become red and stay red because of iron. And that's not true at all. That is a myth to sell you iron supplements and fertilizers. Now, plants do stay red because of a baseline amount of nutrients, and one of those is iron that they need. Now, iron does turn a bright red color in nature oftentimes, an orange or red color. Rust looks that way, and that's oxidized iron. So it is true that some plants, Alternanthera renicia, cardinal, temple plant, and some of the super red Ludwigias actually do use iron to stay a brilliant bright red color. However, most of the other ones use other colors and carotenoids in order to color up that way. They use astaxanthin and other compounds like lycopene to color up into yellow, orange, and red. So really what they need is strong light and their nutrients covered. But at the end of the day, you're not going to buy any one magical supplement that will make all plants red. Number 8 is going to be kit tanks, or the fact that you can go to the store and save money and get all the things you need to start your aquarium hobby with a kit. And unfortunately, while some kits have some cool, snazzy stuff, and some kits are getting better, I must say, a lot of them are going to sell you things like this. $20 for scissors and a spatula and tweezers. Or they're going to sell you a funnel or a siphon or something like this that, yes, you may need, but you could get at the dollar store. And at the end of the day, almost none of the lights sold in these kits are good enough for any sort of medium to high light aquarium that you may want to set up. It is only the bare minimum to see your fish and grow low light plants. That is across the board. I have not seen a kit that comes with a light that's anywhere good enough for something like I would grow this kind of tank with. All right, so number 7 is going to be pre-packaged bottles of Betta water. Now, this comes a lot of times as a tea-colored, tannin-rich formula, and it is, in fact, good for your bettas. But at $10 to $20 a gallon or more, this is outrageous. This is highway robbery. And you can literally make this yourself using maple leaves, alder leaves. If you live in the tropics, use leaves like almond leaves or guava leaves. There are lots of episodes out there, including an hour-long special on tannins and black water tanks that I have created if you're interested. And you can basically do this for free. So save your money and only buy tannins and botanicals when you know that you want them for a decor feature or for a specific reason other than they told you to go buy it for your betta. At number 5, we have that fish medications are different than human medications, which are different than animal medications. And that is a conspiracy. That is not true. Large medicinal companies create medications for humans, and they get that graded and made at a certain facility. It is high quality, and it needs to be inspected and approved for humans. Once they've done this, they then also sell it to anything further down the line. They sell it to veterinary services. They sell it to hobbyists and over-the-counter services. A lot of times you can actually find pills and bottles that will have matching batch numbers and are literally identical. Now, I am not telling anybody to go out and consume any of this or people to use this on their other animals or anything like that. What I am saying is there are antibiotics out there that people create and that they sell for one price to this group of people who has insurance and pays for healthcare coverage in countries, to another that has fish, and to another that lives on a mass scale farm and may need tons of doses. So oftentimes you can find that the people selling to that farm group that needs big doses for cows, horses, and things like that, they have the dewormer, they have the antibiotics, they have things like that in bulk for hundreds of times less. Number 4 on our list is going to be that Plecos clean the glass and eat all your algae. And if you have a Pleco, you don't have to worry about algae or cleaning your glass. Sadly, this has cost so many Plecos their life. And it's because a lot of people don't specially feed their Plecos. And Plecos need to eat things like algae and biofilm, but they need a diverse diet of this. They also need things like a diverse diet of microcrustaceans, bacteria, fungi, and, like I said, the algae, the mixed leftover detritus or dead stuff at the bottom. And different Pleco species, different catfish species have evolved to eat different things. Another big one that could be its own conspiracy is that Plecos need to eat some sort of wood. And so many people put a chunk of wood in their tank thinking that their Pleco needs to eat on that wood, that is something they need. And if you watch a special by Rebecca Bentley, a UK ichthyologist and YouTuber, you can learn more than you ever thought you'd need to know about how they have never found a species of Pleco that can even digest any sort of wood. Out of over 700 Loricariidae species, none of them incorporate the nutrients from wood into their diet. Some do rasp on it and eat what's in the first layer or millimeter of that rotten wood, and that's how they get that bacteria and algae, but they aren't eating the wood. So products that are trying to sell you birch pulp in their actual product, in their food or pellets or wafers, you don't need to pay for that. They won't need it. It's purely filler. Moving right along to a more costly conspiracy, that is cartridge filters and the aquarium hobby. So if you have a hang off the back filter and you go out and buy a new cartridge to go in it every month or two or every 3 months, you are being taken advantage of. You know, you can literally take those cartridges, you take the charcoal, you save it for if you ever use medication, because you can take that charcoal chunk and you can later put that bag or that insert back into your aquarium. If you've used medication in the aquarium, it will help remove it. After 2 to 5 days, the charcoal or carbon added sleeves that are in hang off the back filters are useless anyways. They are at their capacity. And what may be more disturbing is that these companies try to sell you, everyone from Fluval to Aquarium to, you name it. They try to sell you these hang off the back filters, and they do not need to sell you these over and over. You can get a pre-filter for the hang off the back filter that has a sponge on it. It will aerate itself because of the nature of the pump, and it is basically a simple sponge filter at that point anyways. Then beyond that, you're adding surface area and fine filtration afterwards. You can simply clean out your filter floss, as it's called, and use that as well as the little ceramic bio beads or the clay pellets with all the texture on them. You can just clean that in some dechlorinated water every 3 to 6 months, depending on your tank, and that will do just fine. Just remember, only clean half of it, because when they tell you to actually clean out your entire filter, you're risking crashing your entire tank, because most of your beneficial bacteria is in there, while some exists in your tank as well. This is actually our number one, because I already told you the number one is that many people sell you fish and don't care if they live or die. They just want you to make the sale and leave. So number two is really our number one, and that's a conspiracy here on the FISHTORY channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like that little twist. All right, you guys. So wild fish are healthier than captive bred fish. This is a thought sometimes, or sometimes it's the exact opposite. And either way that you say it, it's just not a blanket true statement. There are different people who never want wild fish caught, and there are other people who think that fish should never be raised in captivity and should only be caught in the wild. And the truth is that there are different economic motives. The people with fish farms and who keep fish in captivity, who breed wild different colors and strains, of course, they want you to buy their fish. Their time has gone into creating a creature that looks a certain way, behaves a certain way, and that may even be more suited to the aquarium life than other fish. And with some fish, this is a great thing. It actually means the fish will live in a wider array of habitats and aquarium settings than they would coming from the wild. However, in other cases, wild-caught fishermen, places like Project Piaba, which is a great organization in my mind, they want you to go buy fish that are wild caught, because they've done the research in that case. They have actually seen that it is a sustainable fishery that provides jobs for the people in the area, and it provides a beautiful connection to nature, to fish, to the environment, and reasons to keep that environment clean and to keep it sustainable and to keep those fish runs healthy to the locals, as well as to foreign investment and to Americans or Europeans or Asians buying fish from somewhere far off And also, there are many species that just can't be bred in captivity. But underlying all of that, the thing I want to bring your attention to is that you need to think with any conspiracy, who stands to gain from this product or this purchase or this idea that I believe nature aquariums are the best kind of aquariums, or only CO2 high-tech aquariums are the best aquarium, or only saltwater aquariums are the best aquarium. If anybody has a hardline view on anything, always question it. And never question me, because here at FISHTORY, we waffle all over the place and we don't believe in anything. I'm just kidding, you guys. But you know that we are a very open community. I hope you like this countdown, and I hope to see you next time on FISHTORY. If you enjoyed this episode, please become a community member. And if you really loved this episode and you want to keep the lights on around here, you can become a member or join our Discord or just keep watching. All of that is amazing, and I will love you for it. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next episode of FISHTORY.